Hey there, it's Crazy John Carrots here on OSH Radio. I'm with an old friend, Noel Ramos, and if you go back in time, you'll see some an old interview we did in Hollywood at an old IMC, which is Indie Music Conference. And I've known Noel for a long time. We used to do the conferences together, and but since those days, the conferences, Noel has spread out and been doing TV and movie work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, which I think is funny. It's funny when I see you sitting at a desk, and it's like you to me, you still act like Noel, and you're sitting there, and it's funny because it's like he's looks like Noel to me. So tell us, Noel, how the IMC's going, how you got into shifting into the movies and the TV, and just how life's been.
Sounds good. Thanks, John. First of all, it's really great to see you. It's been too long. So
Scary, probably. You probably have nightmares tonight, though. Kidding me, but
they're good nightmares, though.
well, that's scary. We promise not to talk about things like that. No.
That's true. We did. We did. Well, the COVID pandemic really put a kibosh on a lot of live events. So the IMC, like so many other conferences, went into hiatus, and we just like took a break and stayed hunkered down at home and waited it out. But when the pandemic was over, I really wanted to bring the event back. So I did find a venue sponsor in Massachusetts near Northampton, where we had done the IMC before very successfully. And I was very excited about the place. It was a wonderful renovated old building with 4 levels and a theater space and a large concert hall and breakout rooms. And I was so excited to do the conference there. And then the guy ghosted me, which is, not something I'm used to having happen to me because it seems like it's a fairly new phenomenon. But he just stopped returning calls. He stopped answering calls. He stopped answering text messages, which left me kind of wondering what to do. So I unfortunately, I was forced to cancel the event that year. And so the next year I had kind of an epiphany. I said, everybody's gotten used to using Zoom and being online and doing all of these online classes and seminars and workshops. Why can't we just do the IMC that way? And then I don't have to stress out about a venue and the venue owners and deal with all of that. So I gave it a shot, and I think it was a huge success. Everybody enjoyed it very much. It was very stress-free. I got a bunch of the same people to come back and do awesome workshops and seminars and interviews with me, like Shelly Yakis and Tracy Newman. It was just fantastic. We had a ton of fun. And it was really nice because I was able to bring people from all the different cities around the country where the IMC has been presented, like Los Angeles and Massachusetts and Dallas, and they were all able to get together for the first time in one place at one time. So it was kind of neat, introducing my West Coast friends to my East Coast friends and so on and so forth. So that part of it I really enjoyed. So we're definitely going to do it again this year. And we're going to do another all virtual event. We may work our way back to live events in time, but for now, I'm going to stick with the online thing.
It is interesting too. I was at something related. I was at a gig with. I went to see brains going on. Craig Ferguson live, and who used to have a TV show and stuff. And went to this
Yeah.
hotel. I'm like, this hotel seems in a really interesting location. It's a new hotel right there by the live casino in Philly. And it is on the spot where the hotel used to be that you did the one Philly IMC.
The Sheraton?
Yeah, they mowed it down and now it's a new hotel right there at a casino. I'm like, because I
Wow.
remember that because I could see the game going on from your room. When I went up to your room the one time, you could overlook and see the game. I thought this is a great location. And but now that's a different hotel. But it's funny how that stuff works into your life. And the last one I was at with you was in L.A. I can't even remember what year that was, but I remember that was the year the one of my favorite bars and restaurants there on the strip, the Cat and the Fiddle, closed down like the day during the IMC. That place closed down.
Yeah, that place was great.
But a lot of venues out there, I've heard from some of our people. If you remember Kutzall, every so often we drop a line back and forth, and she has told me that the clubs and the performing is not what it used to be. Even in LA, it's been affected by before COVID even.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think a lot of things changed just from COVID, but I had noticed a decrease And I think some of the things people told me they were going to do anyhow after COVID, they blamed it on COVID. Like clubs that said they were going to cut their hours and cut their shows, and even gyms that said, "Oh, well, we're going to cut our hours."
Yeah.
Later on, they said it was COVID, but some of it was just some of the environment's just different because of the drunk driving laws and different things. It's not
Yeah,
like
there are lots of factors, John, but also keep in mind we're the baby boomers, man, and we were the largest generation in many generations. And after us, big dip in births. So you got lots less people to do the stuff that you and I are used to doing
I
from
was
our
going to say
youth.
that we're both born in '61. I remember the days where you'd be sitting at a bar till they kicked you out around 3 or after 3. You didn't have drinks, but you were still sitting there batting the shit and talking to people. And it's a different day and age. And it
Yeah, I mean, so many bands used to play out, and so many different. You could do like club hopping and see two, three bands in one night,
used
and
to do. I used to do that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, way different. Lots less people that in that age bracket to patronize those places. So a lot of them are closing down.
That
And
is a good point. And the other thing is, we are not no longer the biggest group because now we're dying off, which is interesting. I've seen the statistics where we are not the largest group anymore because of us starting to get to those ages where we're. But that's a pity. But so yeah, the industry is interesting. It's changing though, and I think the music industry has changed. The biggest shift I hear people always talk about used to be that people made money off of albums and did the tours as kind of a nicety. Where now they don't make the money off the albums, they make the money off the tours. And it's kind of reversed. And now me and you both, you dabble more in person with the movies, and I work a lot more with the producing and stuff. And I've seen the movies changing, and I see the movie companies panicking, and they want to change everything they're doing quick because it's not making money. But I think what they're not realizing is a lot of people, especially since COVID, are waiting to see it on their TV. They panic too much from the numbers of who goes to the movie theater.
yeah,
It has changed, just like the music industry changed. It has shifted, and they have to realize this. You can't look at the opening box office numbers anymore.
no, I mean a lot of movies are skipping the theater entirely and just going straight to streaming because
Exactly.
that's where the audiences are now, and it doesn't make sense to spend all of that time, money, and effort to get it into theaters only to have a few people in the room rather than just go straight to streaming and get big numbers.
So now, I've always said before, people don't understand this now. When you have creatives, they like doing creative things because people say, well, oh, this guy does movie work, he does music, he does that. But creatives like to create. And I feel that's probably why you yourself have ventured now into the acting. Also, we like to be up in front of people, but and like to hear ourselves.
Yes.
But what made you want to do that shift where you're doing more of the movies and the TV stuff now?
Well, honestly, it's not that much of a shift if you know my full history, because way back in my youth when I was still in school, I worked my way through college as a performer. I was a DJ, and I kept doing that work all along on the side. You know, right up until not that long ago. I was a DJ for over 20 years. So that led to other performance things like emceeing large events. I used to do fashion shows and corporate things, and I did outdoor concerts and corporate events, and I emceed parades, town parades, and things of that nature. So I was always on stage doing something. So the shift to film work wasn't really that much of a shift for me, but it happened through my graphics business, which is ironic. I was trying to find graphics work, and somebody emailed a group I was in and asked for extras for a movie. And it was bizarre why they were posting in that group when we're a bunch of graphic designers looking for design work. Here's this email asking for actors to come be background actors in a movie. And the thing that really got me was it said, we're filming in a castle. I went, oh my God, I have to go to see this castle. So I sent the guy my picture, and he called me back. He didn't email me back. He called me back. And he said, Noel, can you come up here tomorrow? I went, yeah, this sounds like fun. I'll be up there. When I got there, they said, we like your look. We're going to make you the second agent in the film. We have two. We have one agent is a lead actor. He needs a partner. You're going to be his partner. I ended up filming for 30 days in the castle. We finished with a big scene in New York City. It was just so much fun that I got hooked. And I said, I got to do this. This is the best. And ever since then, I've been working both in front of and behind the camera. I've started to dive very deeply into training, and I've trained with some noteworthy teachers, taken some incredible classes. I've learned so much and enjoyed it so much. I've been in a bunch of movies and TV shows and commercials and all kinds of stuff. So it's been a ton of fun. I get to, like you said, be creative and do all the creative things I love to do.
So what are the things that people can see your face on most likely that they could find you on? I know you were
Well,
back on the desk on one of the shows I used to watch. I forget which show that was.
probably Blind Spot.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, most of the on-screen work I've done that is big projects would be background acting. So, I'm the guy in the background. I don't get to say anything, but I'm back there and you could see me if you look for me. But I was on a bunch of shows for a long time, like Madam Secretary and Blind Spot and Quantico and a bunch of others. A show called Brain Dead, which was a ton of fun to do. So if you look for me, you'll see me in those shows, but you really have to look.
Like I said, I've seen you in them, and I know you for so long that I see you sitting there and you're moving, and I'm like, he's moving just like Noel. I mean, you're just it's there you are, and and it is funny. And yeah, the reason I don't know some of your background is because of the witness protection, so I couldn't get into some of those files. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I think a lot of us used to do a lot of DJing and stuff, and it is interesting where you get to go. I myself, when my kids were younger, I did some film work and had opportunity to do more, but I couldn't travel because of my kids, and it was just at a bad time in life. That's why I enjoyed doing so much music stuff later on, because it was at a different time in my life when I could travel. So, you what are your favorite projects? We talked about streaming. Or is there some things that are out there streaming that you would recommend people watch to get a good look at Noel?
Well, I've been working on movies mostly lately, and there's a Christmas movie coming out that I actually have a fairly decent role in. I'm playing the lead character's father. It's going to be called A Home for Christmas, and the trailer was just released the other day. So it should be available to watch by this Christmas. And
Christmas 24.
yeah, 2024. And most likely on the streaming services, so maybe Netflix or Hulu or something like that. They were talking about a limited theatrical run, but I don't know if that will happen. If it does, it's only going to be a few theaters here and there, maybe in New York. I'm not sure. But it was a fun project. I got to work on it as production designer and as an actor. So I got to work in front of and behind the camera, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it.
Now there was another detective series you were doing. Was that just a web series or something? There was something else you were doing a
A long
lot
time
of.
ago, I did a web series called Mace.
That's it.
That was my one of my very first, attempts to do a production. So, film it, edit it, release it onto YouTube, and just get all that experience. And it was a ton of fun. And so many of my good friends helped me do it that I'm still friends with all of them to this day. We formed a very tight bond when we worked on that show together. So it was great. And I worked on another series with some of them more recently called Freeze Framed that I do intend to finish and release. And my good friend Paul Stamper, who is the cinematographer, is helping me to edit the show. And Freeze Framed is cool because it's kind of an interesting take on real crime drama. You know how those shows reenact a crime that actually
Right.
happened? Well, we're going to do the same thing, but at certain points during the show, the frame is actually going to freeze, and everybody just stands still. And then I do a little narration and maybe some funny stuff, and then we start the show up again. So it's a little bit unique, and I think it's going to be fun to see it finished.
My dog's making noise under there. But
Dogs are important.
you used to have a dog, didn't you?
Yep, indie dog.
Is he still around with us or? That's
He passed away years ago.
so now the Mason stuff. Where can people find those?
Mace is still on YouTube.
Okay.
I think if you just go to YouTube and search on Mace, it'll pop right up.
I'll have to do that then. I haven't. Today I was trying to get to a show on Hulu, and I hadn't used Hulu in so long. It wouldn't let me on, and it's like, oh, I can't remember my password. I hate when.
Oh no,
But
that's the worst.
yeah. Where did you say it was you on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
So everybody remember that Mace on YouTube. But so anything else you have upcoming, or anything else outstanding that you would like to mention that you've worked on recently, or in the past, anything?
We just had a private screening for cast and crew for an Indian movie called Checkmate that's going to be released in India, Southeast Asia, on Netflix, and it stars a couple of really big Indian superstar movie stars. One gentleman named Anup Menon, and the other guy's name is Lal, and they're very big in India. And they flew here to be in our movie, which was a lot of fun. And we filmed it all here in Connecticut, including in the state capitol and some other really noteworthy locations. And it's quite the epic.
Do
Came
we
out pretty
get to
good.
see you doing some dancing and some singing and
I didn't do any of the dancing.
it is funny you said that about them coming over, because I know they joked there for a while that Bollywood was actually in New Jersey because they were shooting a lot of the Indian movies in New Jersey at the time. And and you can shoot the movies anyhow. I always loved the fact there for a while they were doing a lot of things up in Toronto, and
Oh, they still do.
and they make Toronto look like New York City or anything, and parts of it, depending on how you angle it, can look like New York City. They kind of made fun of that in the new Star Trek, where he goes, "Oh, we're in New York City," and they go, "No, we're in Toronto," and it was interesting because it did kind of look like New York City. And
I worked on the Ghostbusters movie in 2016 with the female comedians.
right, right.
We filmed that in Boston, but they made it look like New York.
Isn't it interesting how they do that? We were talking about lockdown last time. I think it was like a year and a half ago. I drove through Boston and I tried to hit the Bull and Finch, which that's the Cheers, and it said it closed at 9, and we were like 7:45, and the doors were locked already, and it was
Oh my
like,
goodness.
yeah, it's weird how the COVID is still affecting us, and people or using it as an excuse to save some money. So as far as your movies, you keep working on the movies, and I know people can go to your IMDb page and check out what you're working on, what's in production.
I have a website too, noelramos.com.
There we go. So I'll put that, as we say afterwards, down below
in the description.
In the description, yes. But again, as far as the IMC, what do you see that going in the future? You think you're going to do more of the Zoom-based IMC, or do you think you'll ever do a live one again?
Yeah, I think we will do live again. My idea was perhaps do the Zoom version for the workshops and then combine that with a nighttime event that's a live show. So we get the performance aspect back and keep the workshops on Zoom.
Well, you could still broadcast the entertainment too. I mean,
oh sure,
as long as it's okay with the venue, that would be nice. And also, you don't need to rent as much space or to make that happen, which is kind of nice. It is a pity about that. I used to very much enjoy going out to LA and doing that with you. Like to do that again. We should do that again.
We may go back to LA. You never know. We might go back to LA. I'd like to go back to Massachusetts too. I mean, that was one of our best cities in Northampton. It was a great artistic area, lots of musicians, lots of great places to see, very touristy, very artsy. I'd love to go back there. So yeah, it's not out of the question. But for now, coming back from COVID, I'm just happy that the IMC is still around.
I'm happy. I'm happy you're still around, because without you, it wouldn't be here. And you know that's always been your baby, and I'm glad it has been. It's been enjoyable. Like you said, we've known of some cities they've got some friction in, and this happens. Some people don't like, some towns don't like outsiders in, but even you're trying to promote music, and we should all be a happy group and work together. And sometimes I always call it the win-win. I try to push the win-win. Everybody can win. Well,
I
yeah,
like that.
some people don't like that, which is kind of odd to me.
I definitely do like that. Win-win.
Yes, but
Well, if they want to keep in touch with the conference, it's independentmusicconference.com
and I'll also put that down
in the
below.
description.
So, any other surprises or anything upcoming that you might be thinking of doing that you haven't done yet? I mean, are you going to be on Dancing with the Stars, maybe, or
Hey, I'll never say never.
never say never? Uh, but nothing else that you'd like to mention in clothing? In closing, maybe not in clothing. That's in clothing, maybe a tube top thing. Oh, but we said promise not to talk
We're not
about
going to talk about that
that.
stuff, John.
Right. Any other projects you can think of that you're proud of that you'd like to mention?
Well, I'm proud of everything I've worked on so far, and it's I'm trying to move more into directing. I've been directing quite a bit. I've directed a number of infomercials and commercial productions, and I really enjoy directing. So look for me to make moves into that area. But right now, what I've been doing mostly behind the camera is production design, which as an artist, a lifelong artist, being in the art department on a film set is just fantastic. And I'm thoroughly enjoying being a production designer. So more of that for sure, and maybe you'll see my name in the credits. I'm definitely credited as production designer on Checkmate, so you could check that out, and if you like it, let me know.
So if anybody sees this and wants to hire you, you have contact information, I believe, probably on noelramos.com. But I know you have some contact information on IMDb. They
Yep.
can find you on Facebook. You're not
Easy to
really,
find me on Facebook. I come right up on Facebook.
yeah, it's a little scary that way. But no, I'm kidding.
I've been on Facebook forever, so I have 5,000 friends.
Yeah, I'm
It's
like
like
that too. I have 5,000. I haven't switched over to being the what do they call it? There's a different account you can get when you're
yeah, the page, you turn it into a page.
turn into a page. I haven't done yet. So you have people that want to join your page, and it's like I will join you when somebody gets off because I don't believe on knocking people off. I believe in waiting until I insult someone and they say, "The hell with this," because I'm sure every so often you're going to insult someone. But
Well, I tend to lose people, like you said. Some of them die, which is sad.
yeah,
But then other people kind of just fade off of Facebook, like they decide they don't want to do Facebook anymore. So I'm always losing a friend here and there. It goes from 5,000 to 4,999.
well, sometimes I got people that are dead that their Facebook pages are still running because their families are running.
Yeah, they
You know?
memorialize the page.
And sometimes it's funny too. I get a message from them like, they're like, "Did you know that so and so died?" It's like, "Yeah, I was at the funeral. Remember, I talked to you." And they're like, "Oh yeah." It's because we're all getting old.
I actually started a small Facebook group called Facebook Memorial, so I could put all my friends who I've lost in there, and it's lots of people have joined and done the same thing. It's been kind of cathartic.
I always feel I have an alumni website from my high school, and it's more like a "Who Died Today" page, and it's kind of sad. But yeah, a lot of friends have passed away. We're both born the same year, me and you, and friends, family, and although it's interesting though, if you ever do any of this 23andMe or ancestries and stuff, I found family I didn't know I had,
Wow, that's cool.
nice, and met them. And some family I thought were branches off of other families, and then later on found out they branched off of other families and didn't realize it. So that's kind of nice to find new family as you're losing family.
Well,
And
my family is so massively huge. The last thing I need is more of them.
well, we promise not to talk about that. I think that goes along with that. No. But okay, thank you, Noel, and hopefully again we won't take as long to do a other interview. Next time we'll probably talk about you winning an Oscar for directing, and maybe I'll finally won a Grammy instead of just being nominated. So we will talk soon, Noel. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.